Perfectionism is the flip side of fear. We strive to be perfect because we fear to be less than perfect. But creative practice tells you there's no such thing as perfect.
What does practice mean to you?
Practice, to me, means taking steps to do better what I want to do well. Let's say that I wanted to have a practice of calligraphy. I would need to take a series of steps to improve my practice of calligraphy. Some of these steps involve collecting materials, acquiring materials. Some involve finding time or establishing time to work on my practice. Then the next part of the practice is engaging in the activity that is calligraphy, actually doing calligraphy. And at this point, I'm thinking of it as an experiment. I'm doing an act to look at an outcome. I'm not doing an act to get a good outcome. I'm doing an act to look at an outcome and learn from the outcome so that I can take that learning and reinvest it in the acts that I take. This thing that we call practice is taking a series of actions leading to outcomes, then learning from those outcomes in order to create new actions leading to new outcomes and leading to new learning. If one is on the path of investing in Central Africa, then the practice will involve some things that we've already found on the path. I'll need to learn how to get good at investing. Well, what steps can I take to practice being good at investing? I can make mock investments in products or services and see how they perform over time. I can have an imaginary investment portfolio, one might say. I can go to places where there's more information to be gained. I can go to a conference on double bottom line investing or social impact investing and gather information from people who know more than I do. Take all that information and push it back into my efforts to get better at the act that's at the core of my practice, which is evaluating and making investments. On the other hand, if I'm a songwriter, then my practice involves learning chords, putting them together, writing lyrics, refining them, putting them together in song combination, learning from other songwriters, learning from other acts of songwriting, doing a lot of songwriting on my own with no expectation that any of it's going to be any good, but with the expectation that all of it will make me better at doing this thing that I want to do well. The trap that one runs into when one is trying to establish a practice is to get out ahead of the practice and say, what matters to me is not the practice itself, but the end result of the practice. A home in the Hollywood Hills. That's not what practice is. Practice is I'm doing a thing that I love, and I'm putting time and energy and effort and fearlessness into it so that I can learn how to do it better so that I can love it that much more. It has nothing to do with the outcome and everything to do with a series of actions one takes day to day.
So if we go back to the calligraphy example, that maybe you're already trying to book yourself out to do wedding invitations or something, and you're not really there yet.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Though I'm laughing at that because knowing me, I would probably say to myself, the best way for me personally to get good at calligraphy is to get a gig, is to book myself out to, maybe a friend of mine says, gosh, I just don't know what to do about wedding invitations. I say, I'll do them. I'll do them. Do you know calligraphy? Don't worry about it. Leave it to me. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, what's the guest list?
What's the guest list? Right. So then all I have to do is learn how to do calligraphy. I did this. This is a story I've told all my life. I was 25 years old, hustling for money. I was Santa Claus on stilts. Did I tell you this story last time? I think
you did, yeah.
I may have.
We loved it, yeah.
Well, skip to the takeaway. The guy asks you, do you know how to walk on stilts? Never tell him you don't know how to walk on stilts. Just ask him, when do you need me? I'll be there. And then figure out how to walk on stilts on your own.
Sure.
But let's lens back a little bit. Here's a guy who's clearly very adept at taking chances and not worrying too much about outcomes, not worrying about failing, being audacious, having chutzpah. These are qualities that I have baked into me, endowed upon me by my brain, my upbringing, my sense of self, my fearlessness. So just because they work for me doesn't mean they're going to work for everybody. And if you say to somebody, hey, book yourself a gig doing calligraphy, because then you'll be forced to learn how to do calligraphy, which is what you want to do, that might be more than they can handle. A little more bacon than a pan can handle. But if you throw down that gauntlet to a certain person, they're going to pick it up and say, that's what I've been waiting for. That's the strategy that works for me. So what we can take away from this is there's always a gap between desire and action. We desire to take more actions than we actually take. And our job as creative people, or just people living life, is to close the gap between desire and action, like act on more of our desires. There are many, many strategies that work on closing the gap between desire and action. Bluffing, as I just described it, saying you know how to do something that you don't know how to do, is a strategy that works very well for me. It's one I've used over and over again in my life. Might not work for you, but there will be strategies that do work for you. For instance, you might say to yourself, I really want to do calligraphy. And you understand I'm using calligraphy as a stand-in for anything. But I really want to do calligraphy, but I'm afraid to do it badly. And because I'm afraid to do it badly, I never start. I know this about myself. I'm desperate to start, and I'm too afraid to start. That's the trap I'm in. How can I break this logjam? How can I get momentum toward my practice? You might say to yourself, my loved one's birthday is coming up in 6 months, and I'd really love to give that person a framed calligraphy saying happy birthday. And the thought of how much joy that person is going to get out of that calligraphy, that might be the motivation I need to get past the fear and into the practice. It's a different strategy. Different strategies work for different people.
Sure, and I think if your identity is tied to always doing something perfectly and well, I think you'll be afraid to try something. If you know, like, I mess up at a lot of stuff, might as well just try this, who cares?
Sure.
I think it's easier.
Sure.
But
Perfectionism is the flip side of fear. We strive to be perfect because we fear to be less than perfect. But creative practice tells you there's no such thing as perfect. You can go, this drives me crazy, you can buy books printed by major publishers that have been written and edited and copy edited by dozens of people and still find typographical errors. There's no such thing as perfect. You can paint the Mona Lisa and accidentally scratch the surface of it on your way to the museum with it. There's no such thing as perfect.
Sure.
Nor is perfect the point. The point is a satisfying act of expression. Whether that act of expression is painting, music, investing, archaeology, sports, acting, human relationships, being good with your kids, any human activity you can think of can be thought of as a series of acts of expression. And all of those things taken together amount to a practice of that thing, a practice of parenthood, a practice of pickleball, a practice of ultimate frisbee, a practice of sewing. And all of these practices can be improved simply by saying outcomes don't matter, only practice matters.
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.